the biggest reason for the Celtics winning last night, Friar?
I mean, it was clearly the Celtics fans trash talking Draymond Green the entire time because obviously it really affected him. I want to point out where Klay Thompson was upset and where Steve Kerr was upset. Draymond said, this is what I expected. He knew what he was getting into. He knows how to handle it. So I just think it's a bad look for everybody else involved outside of Draymond. But, of course, he did play poorly. Either way, the big thing was, I think the X factor was Robert Williams in this game.
Yeah.
As much as Tatum, Brown, and Smart all did their scoring thing, Robert Williams did all the little things. Was it 4 blocks, 3 steals, 10 rebounds? So, and then plenty of stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. So gave you a little bit in fantasy, but more importantly, he was a big part in Celtics winning.
Yeah, what do you think here, Whalen? I mean, Warriors lost, but like Klay Thompson might be back, which would be huge for them the rest of this series.
Yeah, Klay looked great. He was a big part of the reason they were able to kind of shoot themselves back into this game, but then he went cold down the stretch. Once the Warriors essentially tied it back up, both Curry and Thompson struggled in the fourth quarter, and Boston was kind of able to re-pull away. The biggest thing that stood out to me, and it honestly felt like more, I think the final offensive rebounding numbers were 15-6 in favor of Boston, but it felt like all 15 of those rebounds were just massive for the Celtics, even the ones that came early on. They all kind of led to really good second shot opportunities. I thought Golden State just wasn't doing a good job of boxing out. I thought Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins especially, there were a number of instances where they're just not getting a body on anybody. They're kind of sitting there watching, trying to out jump guys. And I think Boston, generating 15 second chance opportunities throughout the game is what stood out most to me. The other thing, Golden State just can't get to the rack against this Boston team. You watch, it seems like everybody on the Celtics is able to get into the lane and either finish, make a pass to the corner, drop it down to Williams or Horford. Like Golden State is really, really struggling to generate good looks that aren't jump shots and aren't, coming out of the fast break. So I think Boston's defense and Boston's offensive rebounding are what won them game 3.
Yeah, Jeff, Boston's 16 rebound edge on the glass. It was evidence of like a forceful response here to Golden State's blowout victory in game 2.
Absolutely. I mean, the rebounds were huge. For me, watching the Celtics throughout the entire postseason, turnovers are what killed them. They would repeatedly beat themselves by just giving the ball away. And what happened last night? Well, they stopped turning the ball over when it mattered, and the defense stepped up in a huge way. It was the Warriors who had 8 turnovers in the fourth quarter alone, and Boston finally figured out how to effectively run them off the perimeter and make life difficult. And then from an individual player perspective, not just Robert Williams was great, but Grant Williams was great as well. Al Horford was solid. I actually think his 11, 8, and 6 stat line makes it seem like he had a greater impact than what was actually the case. But Rob and Grant brought the defensive intensity, and they made life extremely difficult for the Warriors attacking the paint, as both Nick and Nick, there's 2 Nicks on the show today.
Yep.
I was going to say both names, but as both of them have talked about before. And then they were extremely aggressive on the offensive glass and attacking the paint. They brought exactly what Boston needed in this matchup.